All right, well.
I've done lots with Badiou, so I don't usually answer that question.
Okay. So this brings us to.
Maybe one way to make that a little conceptually easier is, in other words, ordinals are not numbers on a number line. They're
Right.
not climbing somewhere that you can subdivide and subdivide. Ordinals are absolute breaks. Almost in the sense that if you look at musical notes on a staff, we think of them as going higher and lower, but you make completely different shapes, completely different sounds come from different shapes and so forth. It's not like I move my mouth wider and it automatically goes higher and higher or something, right?
Right.
It's just different sounds and intonations. So there are absolute breaks between notes. They're not. It's not a continuous string.
So, for example, we could have a chromatic scale from C to C, but there's a complete indifference in the note of D, such that D could also exist anywhere in, say, like an arpeggio or in a completely different melody, which has no chromatic or scale functions. Is that?
Well, I think also the big point why it's not on the number line is because he goes after the sort of imaginary conception of infinity.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Just later. So let's go to nature does not exist. So here's the proof for nature not existing.
Sorry, on 139
Yes.
there's this weird graph there. Do you want to go over that real quick?
I think this says exactly what we were saying.
I just saw it for some reason.
Okay, so what you have.
What did you ask? I missed it.
Somewhere 139. Oh, it's on page 139.
Just the little graph there.
Yeah, so what he's saying is, again, you can visualize a chain of belonging. So, I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, imagine natural numbers, right? You have 1, and then out of that you can generate a power set so that you have 1 and 1, which would become 2, right? And then you can continue to make this power set such that in a succession, right, as successors, it's actually about the cardinality of the ordinal, but I don't want to get into that. Roughly speaking though, right, each new number contains all the old numbers, right? It's an addition to it. So you can think of this as a successor, right, which he does, right? But his ultimate point is, for that alpha exists in and of itself, right? An ordinal can therefore be visualized as a chain of belonging, which starting from the name of the void continues up till A without including it, because A is an element of A is forbidden. In sum, the situation is following. All the elements aligned according to their belonging are also those which make up the multiple A. The signifier A designates an interruption at the rank A of the chain of belonging. An interruption which is also the reassemblage of a multiple of all multiples ordered in the chain, because one can say that there are A elements in the ordinal A, because A is the eighth term of the ordered chain of belonging. Right? So here's the thing, we didn't have to stop that chain at A. Well, actually, I guess definitionally we did have to stop that chain at A because it's a variable. But the point is, okay, let's say that A is a trillion. Okay, we stop that chain at a trillion. Then every single element beforehand is part of that A. Part of that A. Well, no quotes. It's part and is included, right? Because it's an ordinal. But the important thing is, that is then a new set, the set of A. And it's not a process, it's not this linear continuation, right? This is just a mode of visualization. So we also could have stopped the line at 5, or A at 5, or A at 10 billion, or,
23.
Yeah, or 23, or whatever. But the point is, it's not a continual line, right? And this is what it's trying to say, is once there's that halting point, then A is itself a multiple, with all of the properties of a multiple, and it's not a continuation, it's not a function. You understand? Okay. Alright. Okay, we're going on. Alright, moving on to nature does not exist. Suppose for all ordinals, A is an element of O, being the 1. I'll just refer to it as the 1. And so all of it are, suppose all ordinals, which would be A, are elements of the 1, which is O. Then every ordinal is transitive, so that it is included and belongs in every larger ordinal in the set. Thus, O must belong to itself, right? Because it's transitive, right? So for all these ordinals to belong to O has to be an ordinal. So if all ordinals belong to O, then O must belong to O, right? Everyone So O must belong to itself, which violates the provisional law set up by Badiou on ontology. Thus, the ordinals increase infinitely to nothing. Right? There is no one, there is no ordinal which can subsume all ordinals. And in fact, as we see later, there is the, what is it, Aleph 0?
Yeah.
Is it, I wanted to say Aleph Omega, but that's wrong. So we have the Aleph 0. Here's the thing, that is an infinite. That is the first infinite. It can even be understood as all natural or whole numbers. But the thing about that is, you can also take an infinite, you can also find a power set of that infinite. And then a power set of that infinite of that infinite. And you can make an entire infinite series of Alephs. So you can even have bigger infinities. For you, Chris, who actually saw it. Do you remember when, we'll call him L, posted on my Facebook, and what I said is there are multiple, right?
No two infinity. There were two infinities are equal.
Yeah, this is what I said is no two infinities are equal. And of course we know this by the axiom of extension. And then of course this pretentious blowhard is like, infinities are different sizes. Think about it mathematically. In which case I said, wow, you're a pretentious jerk-off. And the reason why is because for any infinite set, right, like the LF0 we're going to get to, you can do what?
Power set.
Power set. And by the axiom of extension, every single one of these infinites is what?
Larger.
Larger and different, right? Because if they were the same by the axiom of extensionality, they would be the same set. So now you should all go home and post on your Facebook or status, right, that no two infinites are the same size, and see who exactly is a pretentious D-bag among your Facebook friends.
Thank you. I'm sure the audience appreciates this.
I'm sure they do. But yes, so the point is there are multiple infinities, and they're not going anywhere. There's no teleology, there is no one, and to take it to Cantor a little bit, there is no paradise, right, in which all of these infinites become the set of infinites, the infinite set of all infinites. So, are we good on that?
Yeah, can I make one comment?
Sure.
And that is just,
Make
I
two.
mean, you know you got ahead of yourself there, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But just maybe for the benefit of those at home, right? That he can't really. He's going to point out in the very next meditation that he can't really have guaranteed that this goes on to infinity yet.
Yet.
Because we need the rule of the precession of
The existential seal. Yeah.
So yeah, once we've got that seal, then it's going to be possible, and that seal, of course, is going to be used through minimality. We're going to prove it, but yeah, for the moment, we can see it moving off into the distance, but we can't.
Yeah, there's no way in which to make the big other, the one set
Right.
of all of these.
So I suppose my point is to say that though he's proven that nature does not exist here, he's not yet proven that it goes to infinity.
Right.
So,
Right, because
but he's going to.
he's going to. Yeah, sorry. And of course the LF is not in this chapter.
So,
Yes.
so is the fact, or is what is at stake there, is to say that nature doesn't exist, to say it can't be all considered as a whole.
Yes. Or a one.
Okay, so the main purpose is, of course, to say that I guess all ordinals can't themselves be an ordinal. Is that
No. Well, all ordinals are in and of themselves.
right?
Ordinals.
But
there can be no ordinal
It's
which
to claim that
includes
there's-
all ordinals.
right, exactly.
And it's
so
there's
it's kind
something
of like an
besides ordinals.
enclosure, right?
Wait, say that again.
It would be like an enclosure per se,
What
That's
would
what
be?
he's denying.
Yeah,
Right.
he's denying there's a possibility.
which is why the idea of nature blows up.
Yes.
So would you say then that normality exists but nature doesn't exist then?
Yes. Normality and ordinals exist.
Right. Well, right.
As
Obviously, the definition of ordinals.
Yeah.
All right.
It includes transitivity.
Yeah.
So-
one way of saying there's no such thing as nature is to say that there's something besides ordinals.
Right. Okay. So we're just saying there's other types of infinities, other types of sets that aren't normal,
Yeah.
which includes the set of normal.
And he'll call them historical.
Okay. We'll get to that, I guess.
Well, and I mean, it's also worth pointing out the implications here for politics, for environmentalism, right? You often hear this notion that we're all connected. It could be the case in which we are all connected, we are all part of a set, but there's no intrinsic connection in that, and also there's no other that links it, right? We're all connected in a set of say, the set of things on Earth, but also there are a bunch of other, different and mutually exclusive in the sense that they don't in fact include, not right by the axiom of replacement in principle any set could just